T. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, last non-classic. This is episode number 2398 and Doubleshot number 2292. This first one, we are discussing issues collected in a trade called, well, this is from X-Men X-Corps. Now, big problem with this trade, it is difficult to find this damn thing, so talk about the issues in the trade here. And here's a fun fact for me when it comes to these issues. You want to know what the fun fact is? These last issues was discussed for Kenny X-Men. Yeah, this is the last bit. I have waited to do this for a long time to finish up Kenny X-Men. And now, I am discussing issues that came out roughly just a few years prior to me getting a chance to get the comic books. Now, these issues from the trade from X-Men X-Corps, which collected on Kenny X-Men 394 to 409 and annual 2001. Excuse me, which that annual was the last annual released for 6 years. Because X-Men was released 6 years later. Which they decided to restart the numbering for the annuals for some strange reason. I don't know why. It's one of the most weirdest things. It was mostly with the annual was just basically Storm thinking about her answer that was asked of her from the Black Panther when the Black Panther proposed to her. And they had 2 more annuals, and then the book got restarted. And it had one annual that one did, Volume 3. It was Volume 2 had 1 annual. Volume 3 had 1. Volume 4 had 1. I think Volume 5 had 1 as well. So, yeah. But here are the issues. 394 is a standalone issue. Mostly put, the biggest thing that happened this issue is we have Wolverine and Storm, Wolverine and Jean Grey having their third ever kiss in comics. The first time was during X-Men Inferno. The second time was during Extinction. This was the third time. If you wonder what the next time these two ever made out in comics, it was actually during Planet X. A few years later. Yeah, it's mostly a standalone issue. Now, this, of course, basically comes right after the events Eve of Destruction. Now, for some strange reason, I don't know why the heck Marvel did this for. Now, this is a run done by Joe Casey. He did all these issues, including the annual. Now, this is part of the era where the X-Men wear these leather costumes. And yes, here's the cover for 394. Would just simply put Wolverine and Jean Grey making out. Yeah, this is the era where the X-Men wear the leather costumes, which I've heard over the years, the reception toward this era has not been all that positive. Basically, they think that the leather uniforms were a bit unnecessary because a lot of people were basically more liking of the costumes of the 1990s, a lot better than these things. Yeah, leather outfits with a jacket. And by the way, here's something quite strange. The Wolverine was actually both in this book and New X-Men. He's wearing 2 different costumes. In X-Men, he's wearing it with a jacket, with the thing open, no shirt underneath. The other one, he's wearing a variant of his 90s costumes. Yes, I thought it was kind of weird. So, just now issue in Churchill does the artwork. Now, as for 395, 398, now here's the strange thing though. 394, the 399 have been collected before. They have. It was trade called Perpetuity, which basically is 395, 398, 398. Do not know why the remaining issues were not collected in trade, but they eventually were. It's a 4-parter that just, well, it's kind of a really strange crossover mostly. Oh, by the way, in case you're really curious, though, the time period of the issues. This is released from May 2001, and the final issue, which is 409, that came out in July of 2002. Now, mostly put for these issues, we have X-Men Underground, and we have someone called Mr. Clean appear here. Yeah, he's only here just for the storyline. It's a very odd storyline to say the least, and Ian Church does the artwork as well. We have Chamber joining the roster during this story arc. Yes, Chamber from Generation X. He joins the team. We have a supporting character, Hurricane, who is basically a pop star. Yeah, and she is sadly not here very long. No, she's only here for this story arc. And then the opening issue of... Now, the thing is... Oh, yeah, I should talk about her. So, it is mostly put the X-Men being celebrities. And it's mostly put a Chamber story arc, basically. And it's like celebrityism. That's mostly... It's not a bad story arc per se. But it's not exactly all that memorable. $3.99. This is the two-parter he introduces Stacy X. Yes. The X-Men who used to be a prostitute. Yep, she's introduced in this issue, and it's concluded in the very next issue. It's a two-parter. You would think 400th issue of the series, that you would have like a double-sized issue celebrating 400 issues. Nope. They don't. It's not double-sized. It's a standard issue. Which they did the same thing for 600 as well for some stupid reason. Excuse me. Yeah, aside from the fact it's the first appearance of Stacy X, it's most... Now, here's the strange thing. Now, the artwork for 400, that does have a few artists, but it's just a regular-sized issue. You have Cully Hammer, Ashley Wood, Eddie Campbell, Javier Podo, and Sean Phillips. Yeah, 6 artists for issue 400. The cover is by Ashley Wood. It's basically... Let me show it off here. It's a very weird cover. Like, the covers for $3.99 are amazing. But here's 400. It is... You're thinking, wait, that looks similar to the X-Files. Yeah. It's like basically Ashley Wood took inspiration from the X-Files for this cover. It's not a bad cover per se. It's not my personal favorite, but... Yeah, then we have 401 to 406. This is a debut of a group known as X-Corps. X-Corps is formed by Banshee. Banshee, who is bitter at Mystique for killing Maura McTaggart, a version of her, that was like retconned by Jonathan Hickman about 20 years later. Don't know why, but that's Hickman for you. Yeah, and basically it's a version of like Brotherly Mutants basically just do their own thing. Yeah, here are your members, led by Banshee. Now you're probably thinking, man, this sounds like a mixture of the Brotherly Mutants and Generation X. Kind of it is. The members are Avalanche, Blob, Fever Pitch, Husk, Jubilee, M, Mastermind, Multiple Man, Radius, Zephyr, and Surge. Mastermind is not the original Mastermind. It's his daughter. Yep, it's his daughter. Yep. No, this wasn't her debut. Her debut was actually back in Wolverine / Gam Victims #2. She's a creation of Jeff Loeb. Avalanche is not the Nova character that's the comics. Well, somewhat anyways, because of his appearance in X-Men Evolution, where they completely changed his character. He's a Chris Claremont character. He's an old character. Blob, he's a Stan Lee character. Fear Pitch. Wow, this guy. He's a character from Generation X. So, Mastermind is actually, well, Jim Hendricks. Now, as for Jubilee, people know who Jubilee is. Jubilee, M, and Husk are from Generation X, along with basically Fear Pitch. Radius is a character from the one-shot Alpha Flight in the beginning, -1. Yeah, that's mostly put exactly where he's from. Yeah, he's an Alpha Flight character. Sunform is Sunfire's sister, who sadly gets killed off in these issues. Yeah, a few issues she gets killed off. And Surge, who is actually Mystique. Yep, Mystique. The basic kind of a police force, and here's a little strange little fun fact about the X-Corps. There was sort of an X-Corporation, which basically I was sure for it. That was completely unrelated to this. That was established page of New X-Men. That was a company that was basically supposed to expand upon mutant rights. like it protects them, do their own personal business, which of course, Tina Howard revived that concept for an actual brief ongoing series that lasted for 5 issues, and Angel served on the board of directors. Yep. So, Moira McTaggart was killed, supposedly, though she later came back to life. Yeah, thanks to a retcon by Jonathan Hickman. Yes, for some strange reason, he decided to do this. Now, if I get a chance to meet Jonathan Hickman, I'm going to ask him this very simple question. Why the heck did you make Moira McTaggart such a really annoying character and one of the most confusing characters in X-Men history? Yeah. So they exist for these 6 issues, and the group just disbands right after the 6-parter wraps up. You're thinking, okay, is this a bad multi-parter? Not really. It's just basically them doing their own thing. There's also a character named Abyss, who actually previously appeared in the pages of Cable back in 1996. This is his first appearance in 6 years when he appeared in this book. Yep. And of course, he gets expanding, and then they kill off Sunfire's sister, and then by basically 406, the group disbands. Yeah, they're gone. Completely gone. Yep. Yeah, and Stacy X is heavily involved in these issues. And then pretty much that leaves 407 to 409. This is mostly just focused on various characters. Plus also the thing where, let's have a banner on the side of the book. And also in 408 you have Stacy X basically given one of Wolverine's old costumes for some strange reason. I don't really know why. Yeah, if you're really curious though, like, this style of cover will continue even after, it will continue right after Joe Case of the book. Because this is the style of cover they had. Starting with 407, that's where this started with. And if you're going to ask, Nick, when did that style cover stop? With the whole banner with the number on the side? That stopped with 401. That didn't last very long. It lasted for a handful of issues. And then you have basically the X-Men logo basically just went back normal size with the Marvel logo thing with the which is something I was familiar with when I was starting reading comics, where the logo's up in the left-hand corner with a number there. And that was the thing for quite a while. Now you might be curious, when did that change? That even kept on basically when I read comics. That didn't stop for a long time. They eventually do Storks. You might be thinking, did the rest of the run kept the number there in that corner? Yes. It was kept there for pretty much most of the remainder of the run. Yeah, most in the corner. Then for 533, it's moved to the bottom right corner for some reason and put back for the next issue. And it's like this for pretty much like some of the volume. It was moved to the bottom again with 539, and then basically was moved back to the top again, though 543 was back at the bottom. As for the relaunch of the book, the numbering was kind of weird, where it's like in the right-hand corner, and that lasted for about 5 issues, and then went back to the regular style it was known for. I like that better, where it's like in the right-hand corner. And did Volume 3 have that? No. For some strange reason, the numbering was on the bottom of the freaking cover. Yes. On the bottom right-hand corner. And it was like that, well, until issue 22. And then went back to the top, to the upper right for 3 issues. Then it went over to the left. And then went back to the bottom again for the rest of the run. As for Volume 4, which was the penultimate volume released recently, back to the bottom again. Yeah. And it's on that bottom. Even when the book was basically relaunched, the last volume was published before the X book was released recently. They went back to its original spot where it should be, upper left. And, well, for some strange reason, they moved to the bottom again. This time it's lower left, and it's like that for issues 6 to 9, and it's back to its normal spot. And it was like that into the final issue. And then House of X happened. Yeah. But this kind of, in a way, for X-Men, though in case you're curious about numbering for these issues particularly, where was numbering for these issues? Most of the for the longest time, the numbering was kept in the same spot. But what were these issues in particular? Well, in the case of 94, it was kind of in the middle of the top part, and it was like that for a few issues, and it didn't finally return to its normal spot for a little while. Like 400 here, it's back at its normal spot because basically for issue 400, and then it's like moved to just below the logo for a few issues, and it's on the side, and then it goes back to the traditional logo. I have always been a fan of that style. And I've always kind of wished basically Marvel would go back to that, but who knows. The annual. Almost forgot about the last annual published for this book. For 6 years. The annual is a Joe Casey book. Yes. It's a weird annual. The artwork here. Let's see if I can find the right thing here. Excuse me. The annual was released at the start of 2002. This is done by Bill Sienkiewicz, and Ashley Wood does the entire artwork. And it's a bit sketchy, this book, where the main villain of this book is the Vanisher. Yes, and the line for this book is this: Angel, Chamber, Iceman, Nightcrawler, Stacy X, and Wolverine. Yeah, and if you're really curious, though, about Stacy X, she stayed around. But after 422 of this very book, she left the series. Popped up in a couple of Marvel at the end. Then after popping in that book and issue Generation M, issue New Mutants, she moved over to New Warriors for the entirety of most of that volume to issue 16. Then popped up for a couple of issues of Vengeance, the Dominant Annual, issue Way of X, yes, X Onslaught Revolution, 2 issues of Legion of X. Her most recent appearance was with X Before the Fall, Son of X. And that was pretty much her last appearance to date. And that was just this year. Yeah, the annual itself, like I mentioned, it's very sketchy. The colors, I like the colors. It's just that you can't really tell exactly what's going on here. It feels like though Ashley Wood took inspiration from Silent Hill. Yes, because look at this artwork here. You can barely tell what's going on here. And look, that apparently is the Vanisher right there in the artwork. Yeah. I don't think Ashley Wood's a terrible artist per se. No. It's just that the artwork doesn't fit X-Men. Like, this artwork would work better if it was the X-Files or Silent Hill. Oh, still more here. Okay, so yeah. The annual itself, I give a I can build it was going this one. I'm gonna give that an 8 to be fair with it. As for the main issues, 494, I give that a 9. 490 is 5. The 395, 398, I give that also a 9. The two-parter, 400. Basically, all the rest of the issues I give basically a 9. I would probably say the best issues of this remaining issues is 401 to 406. I love these issues. I thought they were really good. And that sadly put is the end of reviewing Uncanny X-Men. And you're thinking, really? Yeah, that's it. These were the last issues of the cover. Because I have tried my best to get my hands on this trade, but no luck, so I did this instead. So, that's pretty much it for Kenny X-Men. I will still review X-Men, definitely, but as for Kenny, that's done. I'm pretty much kind of in the way up to date because I think that X-Men Volume 5 and 6 is a continuation of numbering. At least I think anyways, because the first issue basically is a continuation of the Volume 5 numbering. Now, we're talking about a series I've kind of discussed once before. We have The Tomb of Dracula, the complete collection, Volume 1. This collects the first 15 issues of Tomb of Dracula, Volume 1, which was 70 issues, along with the first 4 issues of Dracula Lives, which was 13 issues in an annual. Now, your artwork for this book is done by the late Gene Colan, who does the entire series. Now, I've talked to various people about this book, that this book is just purely awesomeness at its finest. I love Tomb of Dracula. It's like basically Gene Colan took inspiration from the Bela Lugosi Dracula and the Christopher Lee Dracula with this book. Because obviously where Dracula briefly dies and comes back in the next issue, that's reference to the Hammer Dracula. He may have been the whole artist this whole run, but we have multiple writers. Oh my gosh, we have a lot of writers. Now, you had Jerry Conway, Archie Goodwin, Gardner Fox. Mark Wolfman would basically start from issue 7 and would not leave into the final issue of the damn book. Yep. Now, for The Tomb of Dracula. When I first saw this in my library, I had to check it out because I love Dracula stuff. Now, the writers, let me first do something here. Okay, now, for the start of this, basically you have Jerry Conway in the book. Excuse me. He did the opening 2 issues of this book. Really? Yeah, he just did the first 2 issues and he left. And then Archie Goodwin took over the book. And how long was he on Tomb of Dracula for? 3 and 4. And then you had Gardner Fox. The awesome writer is Gardner Fox. Now, as for his Marvel run, which is very, very brief, he did issues 5 and 6. Here's the thing about his Marvel run. It's very, very short. It only lasted maybe just a couple years. These books he did. He did Chamber of Chills, 2 through 4. Creatures on the Loose, 26-27. Duck Savage, 5 through 7. He actually did the issue 4 of Dracula Lives. Gunhawks, number 7. Journey to Mystery, Volume 2, number 4. Marvel Premiere, 5 through 8, which I've talked about this book. It's Doctor Strange feature. Marvel Spotlight, number 1. First appearance of Red Wolf. Monsters Unleashed, number 1. Red Wolf, 2 through 8. Tomb of Dracula, 5 through 6. And Vampire Tales, 1 through 2. And then you have Marv Wolfman, who would do the entire run from issue 7 forward. Yep. And apparently also based on a different character now. The other artists in this book are Roy Thomas, Steve Gerber, Chris Claremont, Tony Isabella, and Dwight R. Decker. These guys mostly would do the spin-off series Dracula Lives. The artwork is by Gene Colan. He did the main book. The spin-off book, I think he did a couple stories in that one, Dracula Lives. There was also a Solomon Kane story in that one. Alan Weiss, Rick Buckler, the late Neil Adams, Jim Starlin, John Buscema, Alfonso Font, Michael Pong, Dick Ayers, and Vincent Escher. Yep. The front cover of this book is done by the late Neil Adams and Veronica Gidi. He also has the back cover with Gail Kane and Tom Palmer. The very first issue of the book is the debut of Frank Drake. Frank Drake is a descendant of Dracula himself, who is basically in Transylvania, and he basically wants to rid himself of the curse. He actually finds Dracula's corpse. Now, as for when in the war he got stabbed and how is he a thing, don't know. Then he stabs the thing, and somehow some blood gets wet, and he gets revived. And this was actually his first resurrection in the series. and he basically goes on a rampage. Well, not immediately per se. He does go after Frank Drake's girlfriend, Janice, at the time, who gets bitten, turned vampire, turned away. We also see the debut of Rachel Van Helsing, the granddaughter of Abraham Van Helsing, and we also see the debut of Quincy Harker in just the opening 6 issues of the series. With hunting Dracula throughout this whole book, it's really a serialized series that basically has occasional run-ins. In issue 7, we have the start of Marv Wolfman's run mostly, and by issue 10, we had a debut of a character who is still around this very day, who actually got a brand new series just recently, Blade. Yep, Blade made his debut in issue 10, and he was there for many issues of that's published in straight here. He was a recurring character in this whole book. Who would have thunk, though, that a character like Blade, who debuted in this book and would become one of the most popular characters in Marvel comic history? Yep. Quincy Harker is the son of the main characters. Now, he, of course, was here for pretty much this whole series until he died. Yeah. He won't debut later. Now, there was a spin-off book, Dracula Lives. Dracula Lives mostly put the best way to describe Dracula Lives. It's mostly an expansion upon the Dracula comic book. And this book basically, where it, now, it did publish an annual, but it was a reprint. The best way to describe this book is that it is mostly an expansion of the Dracula character. It's a really good series. I personally love it, basically, this book. It is just pure awesomeness at its finest. And can you believe in the 13 issues that Dracula is published, there was only 4 writers who wrote the main stories? You have Roy Thomas, Doug Moak, Steve Gerber, and Gardner Fox. Those main writers. But Tomb of Dracula, yeah. Which, here's some artwork here by Gene Colan. Yeah. And every time I read this series, I could never get enough of Gene Colan's artwork. It is just amazing. Oh my gosh, it is amazing. And for some reason, like, I love the colors. It is just awesome series. Now, Jeannie, I thought his name was Janice. She acts in the shower of all things, and she's confirmed to be a vampire. But this book is a lot of fun. Let me show off basically Blade's debut here. The Bride of Dracula. Yeah, I gotta love these corny titles. To slay a vampire. Yep. Dracula, for some reason, is drawn with is basically colored with the blue cape. Yeah, for some reason he is. Now, Blade, for a start of this, is for Blade the Vampire Hunter. The monster of the moors. Yeah, in case you're curious, though, when is the first time we actually had a character from outside this book make a guest appearance? Don't know. Yeah, and this is, like, this is a series for anybody who's a horror fan should check this book out. It is just amazing. Out of the earth itself comes the hellcrawlers. I love these. Like I keep saying, love these titles. The Fire Craw. We have Death from the Sea. Now here's the cover for issue 10. the debut of Blade, but what was his first appearance in comic? On pretty much the second page. This is what Blade looked like in his debut appearance. Calls him the vampire killer, which later years he referred to himself as a vampire hunter or the daywalker. And he wore this outfit this entire series. And here's a strange fun fact about Blade. He wouldn't change his attire until the 1990s. And did you know the guy got him a spin-off book with this when he finished up his time with this book? Oh, and here's something interesting though about the Dracula's book. It's a black and white comic book. Is there nudity? Oh yes, there's nudity. It mostly it just expands upon stories related to Dracula himself throughout the years prior to the events of the series. But I just love this book. And I'm going to give The Tomb of Dracula, the complete collection, book 1, a 10 out of 10. Because it deserves it. It definitely does. Check it out. You would love this series. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. I have one more video I'm going to do, and then I'm going to call it a night. What am I talking about next? Well, it's Wolverine and Spectacular Spider-Man. Okay, next video. Bye.